the 2024 Fright Night Flix Film Awards, I crowned Downton Abbey star Dan Stevens as that year's horror MVP, and honestly, he earned it. His performances as Abigail, Cuckoo, and even Godzilla x Kong: The New Empire were all fantastic, showing just how versatile he is when it comes to the horror genre. Now in 2025, Stevens returns with The Ritual, teaming up with none other than acting legend Al Pacino. On paper, that sounds like a dream collaboration. Two powerhouse actors coming together for a dark supernatural story. So, did The Ritual continue Stevens' winning streak of horror hits? Sadly, no. As much as it pains me to say this, The Ritual is one of the biggest disappointments I've ever seen in horror this year. Not because of Stevens or Pacino. Both of them do fine with what they're given. Stevens brings his usual intensity, and Pacino, even if he feels a bit miscast at times, still has the screen presence to command your attention. The problem is, the film gives them absolutely nothing to work with.
Weird.
The writing is where it really crumbles. The story is lifeless and overall familiar, another entry in the demonic priest and curse church subgenre that feels like we've seen it 100 times before. There's no tension, no originality, and most of all, no reason to care. Horror thrives when it builds either genuine scares, great atmosphere, or explores characters we get invested in. The film does none of that here. Instead, it trudges along with cliche after cliche recycled tropes the audiences are frankly burned out on.
That's boring. You're boring, everybody. Quit boring everyone!
Even worse, the pacing drags. Scenes go on longer than they need to, dialogue feels forced, and the so-called big scares are either predictable or laughably staged. There's no sense of escalation or dread, just a series of tired beats you can easily see coming from a mile away.
Not a great plan.
And then there's the directing. It feels amateurish. The cinematography looks flat, more like something you see from a mid-budget TV drama or even a sitcom, rather than a theatrical horror release. There's no visual flair, no memorable imagery that lingers with you once the credits roll. A great horror film doesn't just tell a scary story, it shows you one through atmosphere, lighting and careful framing. Here, it just feels like the filmmakers just set up the camera and pressed record.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for them.
The production design doesn't help either. Everything looks cheap and unconvincing. As if most of the budget was spent on securing Pacino and Stevens rather than crafting a believable, unsettling world. The settings are bland, the sets lack detail, and the whole thing just screams cut corners. When your horror movie looks that flat and uninspired, it's almost impossible to take seriously.
That was impressively cunty.
Before I wrap up my final thoughts on The Ritual, I just want to remind you guys to hit that like button, subscribe to Fright Night Flix, and follow us on social media so you don't miss a single scare. Have you seen The Ritual yet? Did you find it as disappointing as I did, or did it work for you? Please, let me know in the comments down below, as I'd love to hear your thoughts. And of course, you can catch up on all my past reviews right here on the channel, so make sure you check out all my past videos when this video ends. Now, back to the review.
Finally.
Overall, The Ritual isn't just the weakest horror film I've seen all year, it's the weakest film I've seen, period. This feels like a movie that should have been dumped onto streaming with little fanfare, and yet even compared to the low-budget streaming horror films out there, it still falls short. Stevens and Pacino aren't the problem, they're just wasted here. The failure lies squarely with the uninspired writing and lazy direction, which drags every aspect of this film down.
It's the biggest piece of dog shit.
I'm giving The Ritual a rating of a 1 out of 5 stars and a 2 out of 10. Honestly, say what you want about Fear Street Prom Queen, at least that had some campy fun going for it. I'd rather rewatch that any day of the week before sitting for The Ritual again.
Yeah, well, you know, that's just like your opinion, man.
Thank you all for joining me today on this review. Join me next time when I review I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, but until then, stay spooky.